Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they're live, and there's also a PayPal link in the info box below the video. Most importantly though, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the shape of the Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcomed back on the next stream. Please also share the show. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel. So please share the show. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now we are joined by Jose, Spurs Chemo.
Whoa!
Quite a lot of chaos going
Billy.
on. Hey Warren, good to have you.
Hello.
Hello Warren,
Hi.
great
noisy.
entrance. We're definitely joined by Warren.
Warren,
Please
turn
off the
background
TV
noise.
or
Come
something.
You've got your back audio playing. So we're joined by Warren, for sure, Sleeping Warrior, Jose, Arwin, Spurs Chemo, and Travis. Good to have you all.
Hello.
Good
Same
afternoon.
with a bang.
Yo, yo.
So, I mean, let's get into the burning question. Antony, what he wants.
Of course, that you.
Hey, mate.
What's the latest with the education system? What's the effect? What's going on?
Are you on about the GoFundMe?
Yeah. So what's the latest? I mean, obviously you're going to university.
Yeah.
Trade-
I've not had the money from the GoFundMe yet. I've not had the invoice to pay.
No, not the money. We're not interested in the money. We're talking about when you get to university. What will happen? What is the plan? What do you hope to achieve? Yeah, just so that people understand exactly what the idea is. Yeah?
Okay, so I've not had the money yet. I've not had the invoice yet. I do have the academic card, the student card, but that only gets access into the library and stuff once I've paid the invoice. So I'm expecting the invoice imminently. Once I get into the library, I get access to everything. So I get access to all of the university resources, not just the ones that are law. So I'll be able to get I want the things I need are the physics papers that describe the key issues, like how do they know the distance of the sun? How do they know what the Earth's made of? Like, is there a molten iron core, etc. And that's basically what I'm trying to. I need that information to be able to write the paper, and I can't really start it until I get that information. But I'll be able to get that in the coming maybe month or so. It's due to start not next week, the following week. That'll be my first physical appearance. So there'll be a couple of shows where I have to miss because it's the time it takes for me to get there. It'll clash with the show. That being said, it's well worth me doing because I just can't wait to get it started.
I'm very excited. This is what I've been telling the Globers for the longest time. That this will get into the education one way or another.
Yeah, it's definitely going there.
Yeah, and they're very nervous. So I just wanted you to talk about what we hope to achieve with this, or what we're trying to. You've just highlighted that is great. So do you think it'll be like peer reviewed? Do you think you'll get any backlash? Do you think they'll take it seriously for a start?
Well, the peer review will be by solicitors and barristers that are in practice currently that will be reviewing the work prior to it being submitted. That is the peer review. Once it's been submitted, it'll be then peer reviewed again by the Board of Examiners. And then if they don't fail it for whatever reason, then it should come back out the other side. And even if they just scrape a pass on it because they don't like the topic, as long as it doesn't come out with a fail, and if it does come out with a fail, sure, the work will be wasted, but that kind of speaks volumes as well, because it'll be really well argued and all the evidence and citations will be spot on. It's just a case of whether or not it floats their boat. But once it comes back out the other side and the award is then given, there's not a single troll that would be able to challenge any part of it because none of them are qualified. Not even, dare I say it, the rumpus.
Let me dumb this down. So you're gonna go full on housekeeping on them motherfuckers over there, right?
Yeah. Some of the points that we mentioned in housekeeping, I'm going to use, like the distance to the sun is going to be 1. How do they know the inside of the Earth's got a molten iron core? 2. How do they know? How does a gas pressure exist next to a vacuum of space without some kind of membrane? Entropy, it defies the second law of thermodynamics. And then they're going to talk about gravity. So then, obviously, we'll talk about gravity and how they can't prove that. I mean, it's just going to be a whirlwind of stuff, and it's going to be really difficult to be concise with it because, I mean, you can write a whole dissertation on just one topic, but I'm going to have to put enough variety in there to show that I've done enough broad research on the topic, rather than just find a couple of arguments that's somewhere on the internet. So I'm going to have to. I don't know what the word count is, but I'm hoping it's going to give me enough wordage to allow me to document it properly. Because you and I both know that all of these topics are particularly big. I mean, like I say, you could do one on gravity and it'd take you the whole dissertation. But I've got to try and get like enough in there for them to show that I've done enough research. So I'm thinking of doing 5 key points and showing the arguments for and against, and then obviously overlapping it with the law to say that, well, the law states that we should get taught blah, blah, blah. And if we're not getting taught blah, 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 who would then be responsible, if anybody? Because I suspect that what I did notice when I looked up the Secretary of State for Education, his statute duty of care, his statutory duty of care, is not to tell us the truth or to teach us the truth. He's not responsible for teaching us the truth. Right. His main statutory duty is that he is responsible for, quote, promoting education in England and Wales, unquote. Right? So promoting education doesn't mean anything about the quality of the education. He's just promoting the concept of education, not regardless. It seems to be devoid of the quality of it, and that's the bit that I was gobsmacked by, because you would think that the duty of care within the statutes for the Secretary of State would be that he would to teach us to the best of his abilities, or accurate, or credible, or truth, and that's not there. It's you just promote it.
I don't know how. Look. Like, so you're saying someone's going to mark this paper. I mean, let's suppose, how are they going to mark it based on, let's say Rumpus was marking this paper, and he would say, well, that's wrong, that's not true, that's wrong, that's not true. Are you going to be able to
Rumpus is not as intelligent as what he professes to be.
I know. I'm just saying, for example, the person, whoever's looking at your paper, is going to be like, well, that's not true, no, that's wrong, that doesn't happen. No, that's
the difference with evidence, though, isn't it?
That's one half of the story, but there's a 50-50 chance. 50% chance they can just dismiss it. And Antony, at least, he have evolved to accept defeat, because I have seen you taking the hit and eating some humble pie. Now, the other half is that he can be taken seriously, and I said, you know what, let's take a look at this, and let's just rub it in his face that everything has been proven. And they do the whole shenanigans on the peer review, and they really review it and present it in a concise way. That's what I want to see.
The key thing is that the review process is done twofold. It's done unofficially by the lecturers that are within the establishment, and then it's done externally by people that are not connected, which is why it's credible peer review. But nonetheless, both parties that are doing this review are legally trained with evidence, which is Sean claims to be audio guy. Well, my claim is that I'm evidence guy, and I can see what's good and what's not good evidence, and people accept really crappy evidence for stuff that they accept to be true. And we're on the other side where we're saying, hang on a minute, there's other explanations for this. It doesn't necessarily follow that just because this, therefore that. Formological, like affirming the consequent fallacies are rife. And we realize that. So my attack on it is evidence. And that's where the law comes into it, because it's all about the evidence. It's not really about the merit of the arguments. It's more about whether the strength of the evidence is good or not good for the points that you accept to be true. And then so long as within academia, as long as you argue both sides and say, right, this is the argument one way, this is the argument the other way, it would appear that the evidence is more in favor of this than that. But it could also go the other way. It could go the way that I find the papers in physics that actually do have credible positions with them. And I realized that, hey, maybe that thing in the sky that we call the sun, maybe it actually is 93 million miles away. And I find it because we don't get access to that information. And if that's the case, then it means that the information to prove these facts are well buried within the institution itself. Now, I'm not saying it will be that. It could be that. And if I find that that's the way it is, it's going to have to be really good evidence that we're not able to see. But nonetheless, it could be the case. So it's like, well, if that evidence is there but buried, is that really good for us in flat Earth if the information that proves our case against flat Earth is no good?
No, you're right. I mean, I've always said, I mean, the ball earthers seem to think that if evidence or proof is presented to a flat earther, we just deny it. What we're saying is that there was nothing at this point that is sufficient. So if you do go to university and you find some secret archive where they've managed to keep, real evidence of the globe, well, then we can't deny that, can we? We're still waiting, because remember, we're still asking questions. What about this? What about that? So we've kind of made a decision based off no answers.
That's my point. I'm the first one. If I see something strong on the ball earth side, I'm the first one that'll pull it out and say, look, this isn't right. Because, in terms of against flat earth, because if there's strong evidence there, then we need it to chew on. It's meat for our bone that we want to chew on. It doesn't mean that I'm instantly going to dismiss it. If I see what I consider to be strong evidence, I'll present it as so, because I've done it before twice. I've found what evidence appears to be curvy, bendy water and presented it as such. But it's rare. But my point is that I will present it if I find it. But that makes it interesting because we can't find this evidence without being locked into the institution of education. So it's like, well, that means that all your answers to the world's knowledge isn't really at your fingertips the way we're told via Google, right?
This is ridiculous. You really think that this proof is out there and it would not be just unraveled by somebody and used against us?
For argument's sake, one is saying that if, like, Antony goes there, for example, and there is a deeper academical understanding of the globe that we may be missing out here in the public, then Antony's saying that he'll look into that and it could be accepted if he finds it compelling, right? But we right now understand, if you don't have it now, by now, there's going to be nothing anywhere. But just to be fair, and just to show to the the Globers that you're not being biased, right? Are you just biased towards your belief, or do you want facts?
Well, the course itself encourages critical thinking, right? So that to me is saying that they don't want yes men. They actually want people that are going to go there and challenge whether or not, like, pseudoscience drugs are placebo or whether they're actually drugs. People will be doing their dissertation on, like, placebo drugs. There will be people doing it. There will be people doing it on probably the moon landing, for example, because it is encouraging that type of conspiratorial mindset because it says critical thinking. Now, critical thinking is a broad term that anybody can interpret however you wish. But in academia and in law, then the critical thinking is going to be based around the evidence to support either side of it, no matter how you argue it, no matter what position it is, it's going to be based on the evidence. And it's going to be a case of, well, if I have access to the physics department, which I will have, and I can get all the journals that I want on a particular topic, then that means that I'm going to get a lot more information that now currently, if they do exist online, A, you've got to pay for them somehow by being a member of an institute or whatever, or B, you just got to pay for them by virtue of, like, just paying for them. But I remind myself of people that say things against FE Core, like saying, well, the truth should be free. You shouldn't be paying for subscription fees or whatever. Well, you try finding what that truth is without paying for it because they don't let you have journals.
What is the truth? Because even at an academic level, there's a group think already pre-installed. If you come and say, oh, these dinosaur bones are not, 50 million years old and they're only a few thousand years old, you're not going to be very well accommodated by that already generally accepted consensus. It's like the presumption of R.
Yeah, I'd be going in there saying they're not dinosaur bones.
The difference with this, what Antony's doing,
I think the truth should be free because money compromises it.
Bones this is more public, more publicized. So this is not like just a guy going to university trying to prove flat Earth. This is like Antony from here, where there's a lot of attention, especially from the ball earthers.
Yeah.
Well, they want to know the outcome. Will he be successful? What will they want to know the results more than I think the flat earthers do.
P. Mars' contention that money can somehow have a personality and do a physical act is, ridiculous. Money is ridiculous, not bad, it's a tool. No. It doesn't think, it doesn't dance, it doesn't.
Can I make my point, Jimbo? Because I think you're ridiculous. Because look, if you're making money telling people, whatever your belief is, and then evidence comes along that contradicts your belief, but you're paying the bills by telling people the original thing that, you know, you're not going to want to tell people the truth if it's going to hurt your bottom
that's
line
not
and
the
you won't be
money
able to pay
doing it.
bills.
The truth is not
lying
profitable.
That's not the money doing it. The money is like a blame tool. It's the person doing it. Money has nothing to do with it.
No, but it does give you a
Not with
bias,
the
though, right?
actions.
Look at NASA.
Can I just say a
Again,
massive
within
thank you
academia-
to all those people who support me in the super chat. I really, really appreciate it. Those guys, you're all amazing. Thank you very much for supporting me via the super chat. Just want to say that.
Pardon?
I just wanted to say a big thank you to all those who support me via the super chat. Thank you very much. Really appreciate it.
You should read out the messages as well, you know.
Yeah, I should, and I will. I'll try my best to read out super chat messages more often. I know last one that came through I didn't read either because the show had just been sniped, so that's probably not the best example. But I should still read them anyway.
For me, academia is running on the presupposition of R in all the categories it's covering, from
I agree.
geology to electricity. They're all based on presupposition.
I agree, and I'm pretty sure that everybody on this panel that's on the flat Earth side, I'm pretty sure that nobody actually really enjoys being the butt of all jokes, being ridiculed, laughed at. But the reality is, we're all questioning the shape of the Earth, regardless of whether even if it's a sphere, right? It doesn't appear to be the size that they're telling us it is, because we can see further than we should be able to see without any specialist tools. So imagine what would be the position if we did have specialist tools on a different. I mean, look at it this way: I've had a total. When I realised that we might not live on a sphere, I then started looking at everything with a different set of eyes. I went over everything. I started looking at the moon differently. I started looking at the sun differently, the stars differently. If you had that mindset and you had access to really cool weaponry or tools or whatever, then if you were awoken because of flat Earth and then you went back into work because you did things with tools that nobody else can do, and you had a different view on things, that really should send shockwaves through quite a lot of industries, but not enough people are awake, paying attention. Now, it might be that we're all wrong, and it might be that we're all, we do live on a ball, and all these bendy light arguments are actually true. But it makes you wonder how they knew that the light bent in the first place, because if we did live on a ball and light was bending, but it appears to be flat, what told them that we lived on a ball?
Shout out to George Stevens for the super chat. It says, "Thank you for the show. You're very welcome, George Stevens. Thank you for the super chat."
Goddess brought up a good point about, she says, look how much doctors are making to keep us sick. And I think that's a huge problem with the medical industry, is that it's based on, like, you get sick and then you go to the doctor, and then, the doctor helps you get healthy after you are already sick. So there's a monetary incentive in place to have, like, the pharmaceutical industry and the medical industry to keep people being sick, because they'll profit more. They don't profit off health people, right?
Yeah.
Where the Eastern have a philosophy. I'm not done talking, Jimbo. I'm not done talking. The Eastern people have a philosophy where that you hire a doctor when you're healthy, and then if you get sick, you fire the doctor. So there's no incentive there to keep people sick.
That's the way to.
And what I agree with P on that one. If you look at Chris Rock's polio example that he gave, just type in Chris Rock polio on YouTube, and he talks about how polio was eradicated and how that was actually a massive mistake on behalf of Big Pharma, and how they regret doing that because they don't want to cure anybody of anything. They just want to treat the symptoms, but they want to keep you sick, and that's true.
That's where the money is. You treat a symptom and not the cause of the problem, you'll make money eternally off it.
Antony. Antony, you hear me?
Yeah, go on.
Yeah. So, I mean, like you're going to university. People usually go to university, and a career is possible from this. So, what field will you be able to? I don't want to say the word infiltrate, but what area will you be able to go into? Once you are qualified, once you get your degree, PhD, diploma, whatever it is that you're going for, where will you be able to go on from this and make another dent? Yeah.
Well, I would be seriously credible in academia, wouldn't I? Once you get a master's degree in any skill, you're generally considered to be credible in your field, whatever that is, be it chemistry or whatever. You're considered to be credible. Now, whether that makes me a credible flat earther or not is probably irrelevant. What makes it interesting is that, in theory, I would then be able to get access to write papers, put them into journals, because I would be credited in law. Not in practice in law, but in academia. because I'm high in academia and law, but not high in terms of practice because I don't practice in it anymore. But I realized that it would open doors to me that may not have been there. I mean, the first thing I'm going to do is publish the document once it's come through the other side in a journal somehow, whichever one works, the easiest one for me to get it in. Because once it's been published and it's been through the system to come out the other side and it's not got a D minus, as long as it comes out with a pass at like a C or above or whatever the equivalent mark is, that's credible then. And it's been peer reviewed by my peers. And my peers are always better than the peers that we deal with on a day-to-day basis in Flat Earth, because they're critically minded. They look at all the evidence and they look at it and challenge it. So it'll open doors to me in terms of publishing that work, and it'll be critically acclaimed. So it's going to be.
No, I get it. Yeah, I get it. That's what you're looking for, is the credibility.
Yeah, I want to get it published in the law papers, and hopefully maybe even to some of the like Nature magazines. I mean, if I can challenge it there, and they won't publish it. I'm pretty sure they won't publish it, but I'm going to try, because once it's been through the system, it has that credibility then. Whether they publish it or not is up to them. I don't think they will. Why would you? But maybe they will. I don't know, but that's the intention.
No, I think
the first impression is very important. So you either gotta wear a suit with a tie or a bow, and second option, you gotta wear a white lab coat, but then bring a butcher knife and some blood in your coat. Thank you.
Shout out to Dank for the super chat. Dank says frog and then 666 Illuminati hand sign. Thank you very much.
Confirm.
So I don't really know what doors are going to open, but what I'm going to try and do is force a couple of doors open. And it may be that I don't get anywhere, but what at the end of it, as long as I get something back to say that they didn't reject it for some kind of political reasons or whatever. I mean, let's be honest, it is anti-establishment, right? I'm questioning whether you guys can prove what we're told is the ball that we live on. And anyone that's doing that's going to cause problems. So they'll probably want to neutralize that immediately, probably by failing it. And I realize that is a fair, realistic prospect. It could actually fail by reason of the application being like anti-science or anti-establishment or whatever. And that's the risk. It might be that I've done all that work for nothing. On the other hand, if they
there is another avenue, is like folklore, where it falls into, myth, legends, other stuff. But it don't matter. It's still a folkloric subject. It's a subject of folklore, Flat Earth. It can be seen as that at the very least by academia.
Yeah, I don't really know what's
credible.
I don't really know what's going to happen to answer your question, but what I do know is that if it does come out the other side and they don't fail it, that's a problem, because then I can publish it other places with accreditation prior to it, and I don't really know how they're going to get away with that. I don't know. I'll submit it to Nature and see what Nature say, but it won't be their field because it's not law. But they might run it. They might not do. But I'll push it and see what happens. And I only need one or two of them to publish it, and then I'm away.
Sounds good.
So, and and the other thing I can do as well is I could add to it. Rather than just republish it, I could add to it and make it more into. I could put 10 proofs in it instead of 5. Remove the law element to it and just publish it with, or maybe leave. I don't know. There's things that can be done as a result of it that I could springboard off, and I'm going to try and do that because that's what I really want to try and do. I want to try and get something credible in there that questions the authority that we're told is the ball that we live on, because I just don't believe that we do live on one. The evidence is not strong and it's not persuasive, in my opinion.
Do you think they'll end up asking? They'll say, "Okay, as usual, okay, so the Earth's not a globe. Why do we live?" Do you think they'll ask for a model? Do you think they'll have to? How will it work?
I think they'll try and discredit and bury it. To be honest, it's like it's blowing the whistle, isn't it? It'll be seen as whistle blowing. They'll not want that to be going out there. Like Julian Lestrange might end up living in Russia or something like that in exile. I don't know. I honestly don't know what's going to happen, but I just feel as though that I'm in a.
Are you going to go in as a? I mean, it's going to be no secret, but will you enter as a flat earther or just someone who is what? Like, how will they see you when you enter that university?
Well, bear in mind I'm 38, and the average greb that I'll be sat next to will be 22. They'll look at me and wonder, why is he here? So they are going to ask at some point, and I'll just say that I'm sponsored. I'll not say by who or what for. I'll just say I'm sponsored to be here. And they'll naturally want to know. And I don't know actually whether I'll be able to hide it, because I might not be able to hide it, but they'll not ask straight away. So it'll get me pretty much through the course without probably even being asked. But maybe I will.
Can't you just say you're on a mission from a crowd fund? Basically, it's like,
no, I'll just say I'm sponsored to be here, and they'll be like, by who?
yeah.
I hope they don't ask that. I'll just have to say I'll do what James Bond says.
Just say,
if I told you, I'd have to kill you.
Say I'm sponsored by about 45 people.
66, 66, 67, wasn't it? I think it was.
Just say you're crowdfunded.
No, sponsored sounds better. I'll say I'll just say I'm sponsored to be here because I'm critically analysing some current topics that I'm interested in, and that's what I need to do. I want to get this through the paper. I'll just tell them what I'm doing. I won't mention flat Earth. I'll just say I'm challenging the solar system. But I'm looking forward to it because once I get my my access to the online stuff, like 80% of stuff's online. You'll be able to get a lot of stuff online immediately. Some stuff more old school style. You'll have to order it, wait for the old-fashioned post. But in any event, it's like getting that information. It's like if that's not easily available on the internet when we look it up on Google, and it's only through access to that I find it, then that's a bit of an issue because that means that all the information is not really at your fingertips the way that we're told that it is. It might be the case that there's nothing there, and it might be the case that everything's already on the internet and you just got to like persevere and you'll find a copy of something. But I'm not sure what I'm going to find, but I'm hoping that there's going to be a treasure chest of goodies that I can pull apart. And it might even be the case that I have to present some of these findings on the show and say, right, this is what I found. This is what they're telling me. What do you guys think? Because there's going to be many angles, and sometimes they're going to be using it. They'll always use weasel words, things like it appears that or whatever. Rather than saying this proves that, they'll always use wishy-washy words. It's just looking for them. So there will come points where I will be asking people, what do they think of this?
It's going to be interesting. I think you'll get yourself involved in a lot more debates than you probably like, discussing the finer points.
Yeah, but to be honest, I don't really want to get. I value my time, and I don't really want to do any more debates. I'm more than happy just to do the 2 hours that I do with Nathan because I don't really want to spend more time debating.
When you're in class or when you're there,
Yeah.
Is pressure getting to you, Riley?
No, the morons that we deal with are not actual debaters; they're just knobs.
Yeah, well, that's up to Nathan.
It's not.
Yeah,
it's
it is.
The ball earthers to come
he
up with
can
some
just
good
choose
debaters.
to kick these troll idiots out.
No, but I mean,
constructive
look
people on. But if he doesn't want to do that, just
look at the rumpus,
yelling
right?
against the Glober show, then yeah,
the rumpus is generally regarded as one of their better arguers, right? But his ability to communicate is terrible. Even though I quite like the guy, he can't have a back and forth. He just can't do it. And if he's supposed to be one of their best, then it doesn't inspire me to want to go into Jem's Discord and have a conversation with any of them because
Jim Penna.
You know what I mean? It's just hard work to have a conversation with Rumpus, and I don't see anyone being any much better than Rumpus. But if you're out there, Rumpus, we have a conversation that we need to have.
Well, the only way to properly communicate with him in a way that is somewhat effective is just basically letting him do whatever he wants and be all arrogant and all that shit. Just because otherwise he's just going to go in his rumpus routine. There's no other way to communicate with him, and he does have some good knowledge.
He does, but look what he did the other day when we brought up the definition of neutral buoyancy that stated it was.
But he's not the only one that has a problem with that, and he actually agrees with me in that sense.
Yeah, but my point was when he represented it mathematically, he added two components to the maths that were not there in the definition.
He was just using the original force concept, the forces concept, but that's not a final system. That
was my point. He wasn't using the definition.
Oversimplified system. But it is still the laws of energy conservation. There is motion somewhere, then there is a force being applied.
There isn't a force being applied.
Yeah, that's literally how that works. There is motion,
I know.
There is a force being
force
applied.
Equals mass acceleration, right? No mass acceleration, no force. Right. But my point was not to do with that. My point was that when
I know it's not. It's always what you do.
He added
You
two.
jump away, don't give an
the
explanation,
maths that
don't
were not
respond,
there
and then
before,
just
but he added them anyway.
bring up your
And I
lovely
called
eggs.
foul, because you can't add stuff to the definition mathematically to support your position if it's not in the definition originally. That's foul. But if I allow him to do that and don't interrupt with an objection, then he gets to speech, like to preach his rhetoric that's all fallacious from the start, and I don't think that's acceptable.
Right. But it's just very hard to properly communicate with Rumpus because he's not as tolerant. So yeah.
No, Rumpus doesn't realize that he might not actually be right, or does realize it and Rumpus it anyway.
Yes, that's the last one. When
Yeah.
he knows he's not right, he just rumpuses. But he also is just he is gonna rumpus as soon as you're gonna just not let him explain his thing. If you disrupt his routine, because he is very routine-matic, then he will get pissed off and just start trolling.
But that's
Very
why
quick.
Notice Rumpus made fun of your IQ. A lot of these people don't. They want to insult people based on IQ. They don't understand the history and the academic frauds behind the IQ test, and you can find all that on my channel.
Rumpus believes
PMars.
in it. Rumpus is an institute believer. He is very autocratic in his beliefs. He really trusts all that, and yeah, it's just how it works. That's how he works. It's his life decisions.
Sorry to interrupt you, Owen. So, P. Mars, I did watch a bit of your video. I thought it was quite interesting. Can you give the audience the broad strokes of what you read out? I know it's someone else's text and it's quite lengthy, but if you can give them the broad strokes of what the points were.
Well, basically, the guys who invented the IQ test, they invented it to be like a. They never said it was like a genetic thing that your IQ can't change, this innate ability. They said it's something you work on, and it's based on your environment and your culture and like what you're supposed to know based on your culture. It's more like a cultural thing.
What?
And these eugenicist psychologists took their information and changed it, tried to make it all about genetics and it's this innate ability. Like they basically went the 180 degrees with what the original IQ test people meant
Yes.
the thing to be about, and they did it because basically they were eugenicists and they wanted to oppress poor people, which are usually like black people, and it's a bunch of like racist myths behind it. So yeah, I try to debunk the myths and expose. Like, there's even
Oh, we
Oops.
lost the panel.
The guy sniped few Mars. Sorry, he was too quick. I
Sorry,
got him
P.
though.
If you can hear us in the chat, feel free to rejoin on a different account.
But about that
Snipers.
IQ test, what the IQ test is, it doesn't indicate the quality of your knowledge. Although, yeah, it does kind of with certain type of questions. But what it mostly does is just analyzes your quickness, how quick you can gain oversight, how quick you are.
Stop you for a minute, because one of these IQ tests that I did, and I remember it from long ago, had a picture of a nice house with a white picket fence, all nice and proper painted with little flowers, and a ramshackle home beside it. So you choose A or B, which is kind of better. And that was the IQ test, basically, in a nutshell. It was more related to, snobbery.
Yeah, that's what one of the things I picked up on PMA's video was exactly that. So one of the questions, I can't remember if it was them giving a theoretical example or if it was actually a question, but it'd be something along the lines of which of these two houses looks like a happy home, and it's got a picture of a house from the poor neighbourhood, the black neighbourhood, and a house from the upper echelons of the white society at the time. And if you're going to pick based on familiarity, you'd get a lower score for that. In other words, you should be aspiring to the big posh house and not the ramshackled hut that you're familiar with. If you just see that as your home and your home's happy, then you're just going to say that looks like a happy home to me because it's familiar. But that would get you a lower IQ score.
Yep, the white picket fences was the right choice.
Exactly.
They would be a ramshackle home with love and joy and all kinds of blessings.
It's just an overgeneralized sense of an ability, just overgeneralization of intelligence, but it's mainly just quickness, the quickness of mind. translated in problem solving. That's all it does.
That's a problem solving IQ. That's a different IQ test altogether.
That's a proper IQ test.
What's missing? Well, yeah, now today.
You have knowledge test and you have like puzzle and insight tests.
I don't think choosing basically a snob value, a white picket fence home over a less luxurious home is an intelligence choice at all. It's based on prejudice. It's not about intelligence.
Hello.
Being able to spot cube interfaces, this or that, and this missing in a photo, that is quickness of the
That's quickness of yeah, but what you do in real life is based on your knowledge and trust. And it's a lot of intuition. It's like, who are you going to trust? How wise are you to trust these people? And that forms a lot of decision making for a vast multitude of people. Almost everyone.
Before we wander off track, though, can I just get Pete Miles to give the name of his video? Because he did put some effort into actually making it, and he's done a bit of research on it, and I think it's worth plugging. So, Pete, if you can plug your video, that'd be very much appreciated.
Yeah, it's titled "The IQ Test Conspiracy: Hidden Racism," and then I got like Flat Earth Discord in the title as well. I put that just in the title of all my videos. So, yeah, it's pretty interesting that it shows how in academia, like they faked data. This one guy invented fake scientists to support his theory that the IQ test was an innate ability and not. Really, the original people who invented the IQ test, they thought it was something that you could improve. Like, if you had a lower IQ, that it was something through hard work that you could improve. But these people, eugenicist people, they hijacked it.
Enhance your overall health and influence it that way.
These eugenicist psychologists hijacked it and pushed it that it was like this innate ability that you can't change, right? And it's all they use fake data and they bunch of hoaxes and fraud, and it's just amazing that academia would support these people. But in my opinion, the world is run by these eugenics people, and the truth doesn't matter in academia. It's just it's all about like agendas.
Sorry to interrupt, but what eugenicists often really do is fall back to statistics and then overgeneralize people with those, which is basically like a root of a form of racism, I guess, or whatever type of discrimination. That's what they did. They love statistics because they can use it to their advantage. It's like politicizing how that works.
Don't agree with the general consensus, whether the consensus of the crowd or the mass is right or wrong. If you try to look beyond and ask questions, you're considered to have mental illness.
Yeah.
So they also used it as an excuse to like not fund poorer schools in poorer areas. They would give them less funding because they had lower IQ scores, and then more of the funding would go to the rich white neighborhoods because they had higher IQ scores. So they used it as a way to justify sort of oppressing the poor, and usually ended up being black people.
Social engineering. It's social engineering. And statistics, management of population, steering how things are divided. That's what
there are actually companies and organizations in the USA that pay black women not to have children as a form of genocide.
Yeah, there's that Planned Parenthood thing where they Planned Parenthood, and were saying like, I want to donate this money to abortions, but I want it to go to a black family, and they would accept the donation even though the guy was trying to exterminate blacks.
They don't care. Seriously, the people that work there, come on. Like, however we're gonna guard it, it's carnage. So a lot of these people, whether you think abortion is a good thing or not a good thing, they are gonna be less emotional about carnage type of things, and it's just.
Well, the thing is, they sell all the aborted parts and stuff.
Yeah, some of them.
By God knows who is in that kind of morbid.
It is a sign of psychopathy that they just don't have any empathy at all.
Bill Gates' dad. So if anyone wants to know where Planned Parenthood, he was one of the founders.
Yep. Yeah, without any conscience basically to hold you back. Some people can go to places, invent systems that we would never be able to imagine ourselves.
Dank in the chat says abortion pays for them Lambos.
Yep. Well, they see it as a resource harvesting, basically.
Yeah, like the Chinese.
Just like farming. So they're just
Years
farming
ago,
parts for medical industry, and hey, there's other people out there that really don't give a shit about other people and about babies, and they're very glad to just take the resource. So, yep.
The Chinese had a ring that was out of New Jersey, and they were selling human body parts from executed prisoners in China and stuff. You know, they needed your heart, they'd shoot you in the head, etc. You know. It's not
How
just
did we get
babies.
from selling body parts? Was it from Antony's new education path to
I think the
IQ
IQ
tests
test
to body
led us here.
parts? Is that how we segued? Wow. I'm blaming Antony then. It's your fault. It's your fault, Antony.
So I didn't. You were both speaking at the same time. I couldn't hear your question, Nathan.
I said, did we segue from Antony's new education path to IQ tests to abortions to selling body parts? And I was like, what a crazy segue. I'm blaming you.
No, I blame PMARS. No, in fact, actually, I
Yeah,
blame you.
it is PMARS. PMARS brought it up. He's
No,
talking about
Nathan
eugenics.
invited it with a plug, so you can't blame me, Nathan.
Well, IQ test is directly related to the education system, wouldn't you agree?
No, not really.
Okay.
Yeah, it is.
The IQ test is basically a test of memory. It's not a test of intelligence. They call it an IQ test, intelligence, but it's actually not. So I don't agree.
Is
No.
that really you,
Well,
Travis?
memorization
hold
is
on.
also
Is that you, Travis? Yeah. Hello.
There's a difference between knowledge and wisdom. And IQ is based on
Of course.
memory, and it's neither knowledge nor wisdom.
But wisdom is about how you apply the knowledge. Okay.
Wisdom is forgetting stuff that you'll never learn and doing it naturally because you've learned it. That's wisdom. Like grandparents know stuff that you'll never know, but they just know it because they've learned it. And that's wisdom. Like for me, the ability to know shit's good because you just know it rather than because
Trial and error
taught it.
experience, and you'll learn to understand what's going on.
Yeah.
That's the most fundamental basic wisdom that you don't need anything for to learn that.
Is
It's
the
basic
slow
adaptation.
bred wisdom? Certainly memories and
Yeah, of
intelligence
course.
somewhere.
Yeah, I think intelligence is more about how to try and like if you can figure something out rather than memorize it. And in a school, it's a lot about just like memory, and then it's basically they don't really teach you how to think. Well, they teach you how to think, but not to think for yourself. Really, they teach you to get the correct answer for the test.
It's different. Like the IQ test used in schools to basically size up, okay, what level of education are we going to send them? It is just sizing up like how well can you deal with absorbing amounts of information and learning things. That's the type of test that they do. It's not in my opinion, if they call it an IQ test, it's not really. They in the Netherlands, I don't think they call that intelligence test. They call it something different. Just like
I think mental tests
an
are
education test. It's just like what level can you deal with?
It's not a survival skill test because you can't use it when you're starving in the woods.
But you're right, it is about how well you can absorb information and memorizing. That's mostly what that school test is based on. But a general IQ test is more about how quick you are and how well you can puzzle things out, solve problems, how sharp your insight is, and how well you can apply your imagination to gain insight.
Want to see the fastest thing on Earth? Want to see it again?
the fastest thing on Earth. I know what it is.
It's gone.
Is it a scone?
Light?
Gone.
Yeah, scone.
What?
You want
Or a
to
scone.
on Earth?
No, that's wrong. That's the fastest cake.
Well, wouldn't the fastest cake be the fastest thing on Earth? I'm having that.
No, it's
I'll
just
have
the
a scone.
fastest cake. It's down to the categorization system. It's a bit like evolution.
Fastest thing on Earth is an ice cream getting away from Allenby.
Dudum.
But yeah, you know, like I say, some things, well, okay, we got an IQ, whatever, you can't eat it. It won't help you catch a fish.
If you don't have any wisdom whatsoever, you can learn anything by heart, and you're just not going to be able to apply it to anything in a useful fashion.
I'm going to go with Gleam's
A
answer.
fool can learn everything, but they'll still be a fool.
I'm going to shout out to Gleam. So where's his comment gone? Damn it. Quantum
That reminds me of
entanglement. There we go. Quantum entanglement's the fastest thing. I'm going to agree with that.
Francis Bacon said knowledge is power, but I heard Manly P. Hall said like it should really be applied knowledge is power, because if you learn things that you can't apply to your life or help you out, then it's kind of useless, right?
We all know more than we can
But
do.
busying therapy it's not really constructive, really. So, and that's mostly what people do with a lot of the globe lore. It's just hobbying it out, talking about it, imagining it, or building on something fictitious. Right? It's like a culture and a religion at the same time.
I'm not worried. Spiros will figure out the whole universe for us all, finalize the blockchains, formulas, and stuff, and everything will be all right because it doesn't matter flat or round. According to Spiros, Dr. Spiros. Also, here's a quote from Dr. Spiros in rough. He said, we were talking about gravity on that interview and stuff, and Spiro said, if you go to the top of a building and jump off a million zillion times, there's a chance that one time you don't fall and hit the ground. End of quote. I'd like to see him put it to the test.
I actually read something about similar to that about, you can throw a ball up in the air and it always comes back down, but that doesn't, even if you do it, a million times, it doesn't mean the million and 1th time it won't just float or go upwards. So like we're never 100% sure of anything. We can be like 99.9% sure.
Yeah, but what if there was a hurricane there? That would be sucked by the tornado.
Well, what if the Earth was flat? How is NASA doing their orbits with the ISS? So this is he has friends at JPL, this guy, and he says it doesn't matter if it's round or flat. It does matter. Guy's an actor and a ham, nothing more. I guess I can't put all my faith in him. Spiros, you let me down. I don't think you're going to solve the mysteries of the universe and life and conquer everything. I think you're a ham and a charlatan. That's my opinion. A snake that crawls through its own shit on its belly, basically.
Do we know
So
who it
who's
was that
next?
sniped the original hangout?
Yeah, Arwin Sock.
What? No, I kicked him.
No, on the first show.
All right. But there was an Arwen Sock coming in, and
Yeah, man, they've replicated
He was
your
refracted
tree.
over the group.
Oh no, a plain truth Sock's got in, I think. Still there,
I don't
Antony.
know. I don't know which one he is though.
Get both of them. Sorry, Travis.
Is he being refracted?
Right, that means thingy's gone.
Lost Arwin.
You've lost everyone.
We?
Yeah, Jimbo's gone. P-Mars, Arwin, 2 others, everyone.
I'm here.
Just got you and,
Yeah, there's
you and
Spurs
Warren.
and Wars.
Hey,
Well,
am I going? Am I?
Yeah, yes, we still hear you, Warren. Loud and clear.
Sorry, you can still hear the TV in the back as well.
I'll turn you down a little bit, I think. Hello, Rethinking Revelation, is that? Good to have you.
I won't take it personally.
Oh, is that you, Travis?
Yeah.
Good to have you.
Right.
Yeah, if people want to join, I'll just leave this link up. We've only got about 10 minutes left, so... You never know,
Yeah,
some new guests. Sorry to those who are sniped. I'm not going to start a new show with only 10 minutes to go.
A nice quiet show today.
Been nice, good show. Calm conversations.
Well, I guess all we can conclude that intelligence is what they tell us is intelligence, right? I know there's plenty of people that I've been, including myself, that make numerous simple mistakes in terms of common sense that no amount of intelligence would teach you the common sense of. Like even just like changing a wheel on a car if you get a flat tire. The amount of people that are like masters that can't actually do it. They know what's supposed to happen, but they can't physically do it. Even though they've got the tools.
Well, like, as we discussed organically on the show earlier, it'd be nice if people picked up on some of the things that we pulled apart in terms of the calculator. So people have got this begging the question, proof of nothing perspective hijacking calculator that they refer to in other areas, i.e. not here. And when it is in front of someone like Karen, hopefully the conversation we had with her will have some impact on others, and when they get into those conversations, they'll go to that calculator and say, what's this? What's this radius? So you already know the radius. Why are we bothering with this calculator? You already know the outcome with this calculator. It's a waste of time. Don't need it. You've already got an outcome. Don't need to measure anything.
I think my question's a valid question. If they believe that the light bends at the rate of 7.6R sometimes, then how did they ever find out that it was spherical to know that the light bends? Because you would need to know that it's spherical to apply this curvy, bendy light stuff. So how did they ever find out that it was spherical? Where was that evidence that's from? It probably goes back to the original Apollo missions. Might be wrong. I don't know. But what was the clue that told them it was spherical? If it goes back to Aristophanes' sticks in the ground thing, I see Make 4 chatting in text saying that we denied Aristophanes. I'm gobsmacked that you would even bring that up, Make 4. I don't know why you're doing this. What are you talking about?
This is where people accuse me of ad hominem. It's not an ad hominem if you are attaching a devastating argument. So when I call someone like Make 4 a retard, when we have explained to him on multiple occasions that they take a measurement and then insert a radius value that they already presuppose, we've told him. So he's just ignoring it because he's either just ignorant, i.e. the information can't sink in because he's too stupid for it to sink in, or just trolling. Either way, it makes no difference. His behaviour is retarded. So it's not an ad hominem attack. It's based on his actual behaviour.
Well, ad hom has to do with arguments. If you say he's wrong because he's an idiot, that's an ad hom. But if you just call him an idiot, then that's
Correct.
not an ad hom.
Exactly, P. So when someone comes up with a devastating argument and your rebuttal is, you're stupid, that's an ad hominem. If the rebuttal demolishes their assertions and you add that they are stupid to assert what they have asserted, having demonstrated why it's stupid, then it is perfectly acceptable to assert that person is stupid based on a demonstration of their stupidity. That's not an ad hominem.
That real Zinder.
Hi.
Hey, good to have you.
Yeah, I think I was sniped before. I went AFK for like 10 minutes and then I was kicked. I think was sniped or someone kicked me because I was AFK. I don't know.
Yeah, you got sniped by a sniper. No one on the
panel.
panel.
Right. No problem.
Sorry about
that. I just joined now, so I didn't hear what you guys said before. So please go on, and maybe I can catch up.
We were just saying ad hominems are only ad hominems if they don't come with an argument attached. So if you were to just assert that somebody's stupid as a rebuttal to an argument, then that's an ad hominem attack.
Nathan, you need to address Simon Ben that's just joined.
I need to kick him. It does boot the panel. This will be the end of the show. So I'm going to sit here for 5
I've
minutes.
kicked it, but I don't know who he is. That's why I was trying to get you to stop speaking.
Oh, he's gone already, so
I have kicked him, but I didn't know whether he was friend or foe.
I think he dropped from the main panel immediately, so Bo.
Just shows the mentality of these Globers, doesn't it? Keep coming into this room just to snipe people. Why don't they just get a life and stick with their globe if they love it so much?
Because they want to see Nathan's debate show fail more than they want to see Flat Earth or Ball Earth. It's really about Nathan.
Yeah, but that just shows their mentality, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
No, they don't want
That's
your
the
show
reason
to
why I
fail.
support Nathan. Just to piss them off.
They need your show because they don't have you. Then what are they going to hate on? They just need to hate on something. 1984 said the 2 minutes of hate is about people taking out their frustration of a
sniper.
Sach 196 asks what exactly is sniping. So it is when someone joins and just kicks people out, then he goes away, something
Basically,
like that.
Exactly.
So I couldn't rejoin, for example, because I was kicked. So
Correct.
I would have to join with another account.
Precisely.
I did get him, but he's took Travis the quick.
Fast snipers, eh? I take it as a compliment.
I agree with what you said earlier, Anthony, about repeating soundies rubbish.
Okay, go on.
That's why I said to Jose last time, I said, how come you took a picture of the bridge, not the pylons that Soundy took?
It's me.
You need to do exactly the same picture and then find out why there's a curve there and say, well, look, this is the reason there's a curve, and this is like the real picture of it not curving.
Well, that's assuming that he gets the same results. I mean, the whole point of for me, you've got to validate the experiment by doing the same thing that he did and getting the same results. If you get the same results, then it's a different question. It's a question of, well, why are we getting it? But if he doesn't get the same results, and I don't think he will, then it's a case of, well, how does Soundly explain this? Soundly claims that he's prepared to help people, but I know 4 people that have invited Soundly to do this at the repeat experiment, and he said no, and I can name them. So Soundly's telling people lies, yet passing himself off as being some kind of victim. I'm not having that. That's nonsense.
Do you know where he made these experiments? Is he American? Does he live in the USA?
Soundly.
Yeah.
Yeah, he lives somewhere in Louisiana or somewhere. I don't know. I'm not sure exactly where he lives, but he's an American, yeah.
Ah, okay. Yeah, sadly, I couldn't go there in the next time. It would be all over the Atlantic. For me, would take too long.
Yeah. Well, it is what it is. I mean, I don't think that Soundly's worked legit. I think he's got a fisheye lens on it. I might be wrong about the fisheye lens, but I think that somebody else with the same camera should be able to get the same results. And there's not many flat earthers, and we're dotted all over the plane, Earth, whatever. So it's like it's difficult to find somebody that's close enough to be able to do the repeat. But in theory, now that there's more and more people coming into flat Earth, we're finding people that are close enough to be able to do it. And they should, as a matter of fact, repeat the experiment and get the same results that Soundly gets. Regardless of what the cause is, they should get that same curve. And we all know they're not going to do it. So hopefully we'll find out whether or not he's, been as truthful as what he claims he's been. I don't think he is. I think he's as bent as they come.
Same here.
Bent as his photography.
Yeah. The only bendiness on this ball Earth that we're supposed to live on is the bendiness that comes with Soundly himself.
Cool. Any last things you want to add to the show before I round out? Who's left on the panel?
Now it would take too much time. Next show then.
Do you remember that saying when we were in school, say no to drugs?
Yeah.
We need the flat Earth version of it, which is say no to gravity. Because it seems that there are some people that think that gravity can exist, when there's no evidence of it, even though some people claim that we see it and we feel it and blah, blah, blah. No, if you can't prove it, then it isn't there. It's that simple.
Some people is a little bit under exaggerated.
I mean, within flat Earth.
Right. So okay, now I understand.
Yeah. I'm attacking people in flat Earth that think that there's gravity, right? Based on this perception that some people push as truth, and without evidence that proves that there is gravity there, it's just a story. So even though your friends may tell you it's probably true, might be true, is true, where's the evidence? If there was evidence of gravity, I would be on their side and I would be arguing it, but there isn't. It's density or buoyancy, and it's explained by density over buoyancy. And unless there's evidence to the contrary that proves that that's not complete, then otherwise it's just a story.
And with that, I'm going to say first and foremost a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of the live audience for tuning in and hopefully sharing this debate. And of course, a massive thank you to all of the debating panel for making this debate possible. If you hated the show, then you know exactly what to do. But if you liked it, maybe consider sharing it with a friend or subscribing if you've not done so already. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!